Oh my god. Oh my god. Vlog so freaking hard. I meant to get a drink and I didn't get a drink. I just jumped right into it. Oh my god. Tell you what. I first day of the new job today. Did some lift. I really wanted to get on here earlier. Oh my god. It's late now. Somebody, come on. Let's go. What are we doing here? Okay. Gonna turn that down. Oh look, it's me. It's me in the chat. Wow. Hey everybody. The vlog's so freaking hard. Let's get into it, man. We got healthier than yesterday. Where it's all about health, beauty, and fitness. I like this content. This is my Jamulante, dude. I saw dude, what's up with Dr. Gundry, dude? He's crazy. Let's go.
Olive oil is a huge part of the Mediterranean diet, and the polyphenols in olive oil probably are some of the most miraculous things that you can ingest. Why do we want olive oil?
I
Number
agree.
one,
I mean, the polyphenols are incredible. And if you get I recently found out if you get unfiltered olive oil, it's significantly less shelf stable, but it's got probably twice the polyphenols because you have both the polar and non-polar compounds.
it grows brain cells. And that was, I think, the striking finding out of the Spanish study, the PredMed study, that looked at 65-year-old people.
Let's go.
One group had to use a liter of olive oil per week. The second group ate the equivalent amount of raw nuts. And the third group ate a low-fat Mediterranean diet. And it turns out the olive oil group and the nut group actually had improved memory over the 5 years of the study. Improved. The low-fat group had diminished memory. We now know
low-fat group, diminished memory. Ooh. That's why I stay knowledgeable. By stay fat, keep your brain big. The brain is mostly fat. Okay? It's like this dude said to me in high school, big boys, big brains.
Looking at how that happened is that the components in olive oil actually stimulate brain-derived
Say hey in the chat.
BDNF. So why wouldn't you want to consume this stuff? Olive oil is a huge part of the Mediterranean diet, and the polyphenols in olive oil probably are some of the most miraculous things that you can ingest. Why do we want olive oil? Number one, it grows brain cells.
People who play racket sports live longer than everybody else. This is a replicated study on like 90,000 people.
People who play racket sports are rich. That's what it says right here. Nice argument, but most people play racket sports are rich and therefore have a much better lifestyle, like food, better. Yeah. Does playing the drums work in a similar fashion? People who play the drums are losers. What are you talking about? I play the drums. You're not going to get healthy hanging out with a bunch of pot-smoking drinkers. You freaking kidding? Pickleball? Yeah, pickleball is like tennis for poor drunk people. It's not going to make you as healthy as tennis. Come on. You got to play tennis and get tennis friends. Look, you want to be real healthy? Play golf. People who play golf are rich. I'm actually going to... I'd really be really curious about racket sports versus golf. Here's the thing. Most racket sports, even though pickleball is a new phenomenon, most of the studies, most of the research is going to be from pickleball. It's going to be tennis, racquetball, and squash, which were all rich people things for the longest time until pickleball came along. And now there's padel or whatever, but listen.
Does is it activates your cerebellum.
Okay, he's correct. Coordination activates your cerebellum. That's got to be correct. Here's the thing. There's obviously a synergistic effect between practicing your coordination and being rich. Okay, synergistic effects are very real when it comes to health. Like, you can do things with sauna and exercise that you can't do with exercise alone or sauna alone, right? Yeah, so I thought.
Little brain, 10% of the brain's volume in the back is half the brain's neurons. And if you activate that, it turns on the rest of your brain. So I'm a huge fan of table tennis and tennis.
It's bad news for me. I'm very athletic, but when it comes to anything involving eye-hand coordination, I'm terrible at it, and so I've avoided it.
It's because you're vegan, dude. You freaking vegan free. Dude, Rich Roll, I swear, I love Rich Roll. I think he wants to die young, dude. I think he's got a death wish because he's a vegan ultra endurance, man. Both of those things are going to make you live for less time. He went from alcoholic corporate lawyer to vegan ultra endurance. Dude, too much exercise. Listen to Ben Greenfield. His arterial capacity. He's got blockage in his arteries because he used to train too hard. This guy's crazy. He's just running ultra marathons on sweet potatoes. This guy's a freak, dude. I hope he's eating a lot of olive oil. I'm going to say this every time. You're going to hear, just get used to my Rich Roll take. I'm practicing it.
My whole life.
Get a really good ping pong coach. And don't judge yourself. Just go and learn to be good.
There you go.
And don't have to be.
How about that? You don't have to be self-conscious about everything you're bad at. Be willing to be bad at things in life. You're going to get everywhere. You're going to get everywhere. Okay,
if you
spend,
how many people here have yogurt every day? Wow.
How many people have yogurt? How many people have yogurt every day? You're like a commercial.
You're like a commercial. How many?
Like a commercial.
How many people here have kefir?
How many people have kefir?
Okay. Who hasn't heard of kefir?
Who hasn't heard of kefir? Smashing. Okay.
Kefir is the new super yogurt. It's sour fermented milk, and it has about 5 times more microbes than the equivalent amount of yogurt. So do get used to
Kefir has 5 times the amount of yogurt? Let's go, dude. I know one spot in town where I can buy, if you're in Gainesville, I'm pretty sure kefir at Ward Supermarket is cheaper than everywhere else, okay? Just so you know. I really want to get on here at 9 o'clock, but thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Yeah, let's go.
If you like yogurt, mix it up and start having that as a top-up if you want your microbes. How many people here have kombucha?
Oh, by the way, kefir, or yogurt, dude. You having some digestion? A little bit of yogurt and water, dude. They call this salty lassi. Black salt and cumin, toasted cumin. Okay. Probiotics. Okay. Black salt is heating, cumin is cooling, toasted cumin. Let's go. Balances out that digestive tract, dude. Let's go. Kombucha. What does he say?
Well, I've got you there. Okay, kombucha is the next level. Once you've mastered kefir, you go to kombucha, which is fermented tea, and it comes from Russia.
Shout out tea.
And it's very big in California, but it
comes from Russia. I thought kombucha was invented in Korea. I thought it was introduced to the Japanese. Not the Korean royal court by a guy named Dr. Kombu. Anyway, the Japan connection here is that my friend has a kombucha company and he sells at the farmer's market. And one time a Japanese lady came up to him and said, "This is not kombucha. It doesn't have seaweed." And it's like, okay, lady, not everything's about you and your language. Okay. Some guy named Dr. Seaweed introduced this shit to the Koreans. I apologize.
Taken ages to get here. It's a fantastic drink, and it has about 2 or 3 times more microbes even than kefir. And you have fungi in there. Basically, you grow this mold thing that's called a mother. It's a bit like a sourdough mother, and you put it in your tea, and after 10 days, it converts the sugary tea into a really refreshing drink that has a slight sour acetic acid taste. It's packed with good stuff. How many people here have yogurt every day? Wow, look at you, like a commercial. How many people here have kefir? Okay. Who hasn't heard of kefir? Kefir is the new super yogurt. It's sour fermented milk, and it has about 5 times more microbes than the equivalent amount of yogurt. So do get used to it. If you like yogurt, mix it up and start having that as a top-up if you want your microbes. How many people here have kombucha? Well, I've got you there. Okay, kombucha is the next level. Once you've mastered kefir, you go to kombucha, which is fermented tea. And it comes from Russia, and it's very big in California, but it's taken ages to get here. It's a fantastic drink, and it has about 2 or 3 times more microbes even than kefir.
Okay, so 4 times yogurt, 2 or 3 times, so 8 to 12 times is yogurt and kombucha. Another thing about kombucha is kombucha has a really low pH, and they say that, you know, all your concerns about are my probiotics surviving, drink kombucha and you will find out. What is this? Oh, is this guy must be in England, because I'm like, kombucha? I've been drinking kombucha since I was, like, I've been drinking kombucha for a minute, dog.
And you have fungi in there. Basically, you grow this...
fungi in that, which means yeast, SCOBY, symbiotic culture, bacteria, and yeast. Okay, cool guys. I like this channel. It's silly.
Virtually every cancer patient
Same song
I've ever met has asked me or the oncologist, hey, doc, what should I eat to help me fight my cancer? What should I do at home? Unfortunately, most oncologists...
Macrobiotic diet, just kidding.
Just don't give the patients a real and scientifically accurate answer. In fact, it's too bad because some oncologists even say, eat whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. Just don't lose too much weight. Let me tell you, when that oncologist said, eat whatever you want, it doesn't really matter, nothing can be further from the truth. So you want the real deal? Unplugged version of this?
Polyphenols? Is he going to see polyphenols, green tea, and olive oil and stuff? Please. Please.
Let me just tell you, food matters. And this is because your body is hardwired with health defense systems that help us naturally fight cancer. So when you have cancer, your health defenses have failed, and now you got to actually shore them back up and activate them so they can actually help the medicines work along with the medicines to help fight cancer. Virtually every cancer patient I've ever met
has
about asked keto, me or
talking about keto, low, no carbs, and beef, butter, bacon, eggs, going to ketosis. Cancer can't live when there's no glucose to get energy from. It works. I've seen many patients come back from stage 4. What about olive oil? Olive oil puts you in ketosis.
One piece of bread. Go to the store.
Oh, God. Gundry's back. That's Gundry. That's Dr. Gundry speaking. Get his book, The Gut-Brain Paradox, from the Tag Products. It explains how the standard American lifestyle destroyed the gut microbiome, which led to chronic inflammation and mental problems. Okay, here's somebody debunking Gundry's claim about sugar. 4 teaspoons of sugar in a slice of bread? That's a lot. That's more than would be in brioche. Maybe he's talking about cinnamon raisin bread.
Do the experiment. Has 4 teaspoons of sugar.
No. Then again, the starch does break down into sugar.
Piece of bread. Go to the store. Do the experiment. Has 4 teaspoons of sugar. 1 tortilla has 4 teaspoons of sugar.
What is this guy talking about? I know there's nobody here, but, you know, Gundry is amazing because he simultaneously says some of the most important, profound, interesting, cool shit, and some of the most crazed, inane, weird shit you've ever heard.
And as I tell my patients, I can tell you, pour 4 teaspoons of sugar on your hand. You'll actually enjoy that far more than a slice of bread. But that's...
What? Eating 4 teaspoons of sugar out of your hand is disgusting. What are you, a dog? Who's eating sugar?
Exactly what you eat. And they're just incredulous that, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And the sugar will say 0 or 1 gram. They go, I've been eating all this low sugar products and no wonder I'm not losing weight. No wonder my triglycerides are high. I thought I was doing the right thing. That's because it was gamed. It was manipulated to let us not know how much is in there.
That's crazy.
1 piece of bread. Go to the store. Do the experiment. Has 4 teaspoons of sugar. 1 tortilla has...
A tortilla? What is this guy talking about? Like a big ass, like giant flour tortilla? What these comments say? He's talking about carbs. White bread is carb. This is a short clip out of context. So honestly, taking Gundry out of context is a dangerous game. Okay? Straight up dangy. Dangy wangy, dude. You can't just take Gundry out of context. I wish I had some people watching because I'm spitting fire, dude. I'm spitting fire takes on health right now.
Do you believe our food system is designed?
Same song. Is our food system designed to heal us or kill us? I bet you $10 billion they're gonna say kill us. Or shoot us, bud.
To help us heal or to kill us?
Oh, that's easy. It's designed to kill us.
Ah! Wow! Who could have thought he was gonna say that? Ah! It's designed to kill us.
Really? 100%. It wasn't starting out that way, Lewis. I mean, we had, after World War II, a need to feed a hungry, growing population around the world.
It wasn't
so the
starting
huge
out
push
that
to
way.
industrialize agriculture, produce more calories, more starchy carbohydrate calories that could feed a growing, hungry world. And the unintended consequence of that was two things. One, producing massive amounts of sugar and starch. We actually have about 500 calories more per person in America than we did in 1970.
Wow.
Two, we industrialize agriculture in a way that has destroyed the environment because of the tillage that's destroyed the soil.
Yeah.
That is now, 1/3 of all the carbon in the atmosphere comes from the loss of soil carbon.
This is all completely correct, by the way. This is completely true. Row crops are bullshit for the environment. Not good.
Which is the life in the soil.
Hand sanitizer versus human parasites.
What?
Do you believe?
Hand sanitizer versus human parasites under the microscope. We all know it kills germs, but can it handle worms, which are everywhere? Let me shut my stupid AI voice for now. I'll be back with more insights towards the end. As you can see, they kind of slow down a bit, but it doesn't seem to affect them much. Make sure to wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water to get rid of them the good old-fashioned way. Hand sanitizer versus human parasite.
Don't wash your hands with soap and water. Just let your immune system work. It's like telling you to it's like saying work your cardiovascular system by sitting on the couch. Like get immunity to stuff. What are you talking about? This is, by the way, this is not medical advice. This is for entertainment and education. It is not medical advice.
Wait a minute. Chocolate regenerates stem cells?
Cacao, plant-based food, cacao, that's actually used to make chocolate. So dark chocolate.
Cacao. Can we cut in cacao from Portlandia?
But obviously, all chocolates has some cacao in it, except for white chocolate. Cacao actually comes from a plant. But when it's ripe,
all chocolate has cacao except for white chocolate? Then what's in it? Better have cacao butter, or it's not white chocolate.
Cut it open. It's the seed, the bean, that actually is dry.
Not a bean. Mallow family, not a bean, not a legume. Carob is a legume. Carob, still not a bean. It's closer to a bean.
Dried and
like
fermented,
a coffee bean.
and then roasted, and that turns into what?
It's like a coffee bean, but it's not. Coffee bean's from a coffee cherry, which is in the coffee family, and it's a little cherry-like fruit. It has a little say in it. And cacao is from a big old pod. It's from a big old pod in the mallow family.
is the core ingredient that goes into making chocolate. The flavanols, the polyphenols are in that bean. Studies have been done to show that the flavanols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow in your bloodstream, and they go out and they find wherever it needs to be repaired. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. If it's in your skin, they'll fix it. Clinical studies have been done with high flavanol cocoa to show that in like men who are in their 60s with heart disease, they could actually just have 2 cups of dark chocolate hot cocoa a day for a month. And they doubled the amount of stem cells in their bloodstream, and their circulation improved measurably. And then it's even more important and impressive is that there was a study called the Cosmos study that was completed recently that showed that eating high flavanol cocoa decreases the risk of cardiovascular death. Like I said, exactly. Except made with by eating the same thing that you use to make chocolate. So we're not telling people to go out to have chocolate, which is a confection. It's got a lot of sugar and all kinds of other stuff in it. But it's the stuff underlying the core of it.
Wait a minute. Chocolate regenerates stem cells?
Cacao, plant-based food, cacao. It's actually.
I like olive oil and butter.
Same song.
Coconut oil and things like avocados and some Brazil nuts and walnuts and stuff. So since I don't count calories, I kind of have an intuitive sense of what I'm taking in, how much fat, how much protein, how much starch, how much fibers, carbs, etc. So for me, I wouldn't pick canola oil because I could pick olive oil.
Right.
Then I make sure it's real olive oil. And
yeah, because you're rich. Listen, if you're poor as fuck and you need a cooking oil, you can get canola oil. It's monounsaturated fat, primarily, just like olive oil. It's actually higher in monounsaturated fat than olive oil. Is monounsaturated fat the only good thing about canola? Yes. No. Well, natural canola, like unrefined canola, it's a brassica, so it would have like cool mustardy stuff. But they don't generally let you keep that in there. Still, monounsaturated fat. Now, is monounsaturated fat the only good thing about olive oil? No. The polyphenols are great, okay? The polyphenols are super lit, super freaking lit, okay? However, no one's here. Gotta get on here earlier. I'm gonna try maybe afternoon tomorrow. I might do a little work on the computer and then get after it, you know? Okay. Well, we gotta watch something else different. That's pretty funny.
This is the story of Carlo Acutis, the Catholic Church's first millennial saint, who sadly died of a serious disease at the age of 15, before he could even get a driver's license. At first glance, Carlo seemed like any other teenager. He loved to tell.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Christian goes to Muslim service?
Should Americans fear Islam?
Muslims are a problem.
People won't disrespect Islam.
Violence is 100% intrinsic to Islam.
Islam is the...
Won't disrespect Islam.
Violence is 100% intrinsic to Islam.
I think a lot of people do.
Islam is the most controversial religion, but as a Christian, I just wanted to find out what Muslims actually believe. So I traveled over 1,000 miles to go to their place of worship, interview a Muslim, and talk to an imam, basically their version of a pastor. And what I learned not only changed everything I knew about Islam, but also what I thought I knew about Christianity. Walking inside, I expected to be similar to a Christian church. No, there are no pews, no instruments, and definitely no cross. This is because they don't believe...
Really? No cross? Oh my god.
...that Jesus died on the cross or that he's God. Instead, they believe...
Well, that's the thing.
He was a holy prophet and that he went up into heaven before the crucifixion happened.
Yeah.
This is just one of the many questions I had about Islam, and I'm actually going to confront their imam about these questions. And unlike most churches I went to, there were no chairs or pews. Instead, everyone sat directly on the ground. They were here because Muslims believe in one God, but they call him Allah. I sat in the back because I had no idea what was happening. I was there with my friend Kareem. Yes, the guy from Beast Games. And by the way, him and the girl are totally cool. But before we even got to this main prayer area, we went to the bathrooms. Because Muslims believe
when you go do your prayer, you have to be clean physically, and then obviously your soul has to be clean, right?
And once you're inside, there's also this massive chandelier in the middle of the room. And also, I learned that this wasn't called a church. It was called a mosque, because as Kareem explained,
he didn't know that? This guy really didn't know that?
Like, Christians go to church, Muslims go to a mosque.
So I was like, okay, I guess we're at the mosque. And so this is in Las Vegas, so the mosque isn't really that cool looking, but some mosques throughout the world, especially in the Middle East, look beautiful. It might have...
Look, dude, most churches aren't that impressive. It's not like the best I've ever seen, but it's not bad.
Lanterns hanging at different heights. They might have like these cool geometric figures all over the place. And honestly, they look pretty cool. Since we had gone there a bit earlier.
That's true. They do have geometric figures because you're not allowed to like draw pictures and shit. So, you know? Oh, what happened? What happened to Britain's romance language? Don't keep making stuff for me to watch later.
The room wasn't full yet. Just a couple people sitting or...
This man right here. I do not know this man. He looks wise. Let's say wise.
This is Sirajuddin Haqqani. This guy has a $10 million bounty on his head.
Oh, sorry.
This is a leader. Yeah, in the fighting and everything.
And you can kind of tell someone's respect by their beard. Beard is respect here, right? Yeah. So like I need to keep growing this. How long would it take me to get a beard like that? I told him I want to grow a beard because of him. His beard is very majestic. He said, well, if I make you want to grow a beard, let me make you want to become a Muslim. And I said, I'm not ready, but I do believe I'm a Muslim. I submit to Allah.
Submit to Allah and the Prophet.
I don't believe I need to follow the teachings of a man specifically and praise him every time I want to pray to Allah.
So the difference is, right? Christianity involves Jesus in everything, their prayers. We don't do that. We connect ourselves solely to Allah, but we follow through whose ways? Through the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu ways. Because his was the best of ways.
Best ways? You heard it from here. You heard it here. Yeah, I heard it here. Yeah, I heard it here first. Oh, man. Did I lose my place?
Should Americans...
Some mosques throughout the world, especially in the Middle East, look beautiful.
Dude, I'm baller at this.
They might have lanterns hanging at different heights. They might have like these cool geometric figures all over the place. And honestly, they look pretty cool. Since we had gone there a bit earlier, the room wasn't full yet. Just a couple people sitting or standing, kneeling or praying. Another thing I noticed was that everybody was male. There were no females here. I asked Kareem and he said,
as just a holy thing and as a respect thing, we just don't pray together. They'll pray, they're in there, they just pray in a different room.
And then I asked him, because it was just on my mind, like, what's that thing that Muslim women wear?
A hijab. The idea is once you become ready to be wed, because when you go and look for a partner and you're marrying a partner, you're marrying not because of their physicality, based off of their morals, based off of what they believe, based off of their relationship with God.
He also quoted a verse from the Quran, which is their holy book, kind of like our Bible.
Your mother over your mother over your mother over your father. So like when you respect and you treat your mother and your father, you're taking care of your mother 3 times before you take care of your father.
Let's talk macaroni, and I don't mean the food. But let's start with the food real quick. Back in the 14th century, macaroni was this hand-cut dumpling-type noodle eaten with butter and cheese. Perhaps an ancestor...
Let's go, dude. Macaroni, butter and cheese.
Ancestor of macaroni and cheese. But this dish with clumps of ingredients all mixed together was the origin of the word macaronic, which describes multiple...
That's not a word.
...languages mixed together in the same context. Like a bilingual pun, or All of Finnegan's Wake, or the Talking Heads song Psycho Killer. Qu'est-ce que c'est? But there's another macaroni and another song.
Qu'est-ce que c'est is a bilingual pun. Psycho Killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Qu'est-ce que c'est? Psycho Killer, qu'est-ce que c'est?
Yankee Doodle. So as the song goes, Yankee Doodle went to town
captains,
riding
dude?
on a pony, then stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Again, qu'est-ce que c'est? Back in the 18th century, rich young aristocrats traveled the continent and came back to England with a flair for style and a love of pasta, which led to them being called macaronis. So pre-Revolutionary War, the British troops would make fun of Americans who thought sticking a feather in their hats constituted style and class.
Well, prove them wrong.
Let's talk macaroni, and I don't mean the food. But let's start with the food real quick. Back in the 14th century, macaroni describes multiple languages mixed together in the same. But there's another macaroni and another song, Yankee Doodle. So as the song goes, Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, then stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Again, qu'est-ce que c'est? Back in the 18th century, rich young aristocrats traveled the continent and came back to England with a flair for style and a love of pasta, which led to them being called macaronis. So pre-Revolutionary War, the British troops would make fun of Americans who thought sticking a feather in their hats constituted style and class. Let's talk macaroni, and I don't mean the food. But let's start with the food real quick. Back in the 14th century, macaroni was this hand-cut dumpling-type noodle eaten with butter and cheese, perhaps an ancestor of macaroni and cheese. But this dish with clumps of ingredients.
What is even going on? Get me out of here. When does salt stop being expensive? Ayahuasca. Fuck it, dude. Let's go.
Ayahuasca is a scary thing to try. I know because I just went through a week in which I had 4 ayahuasca ceremonies in a row. And that was scary, physically and mentally demanding, heartbreaking, and life-changing. Now, what happened to me during the ceremonies? What did I see and experience? Was it beneficial? And would I ever do it again? I'll answer all of that and more in the next few minutes. Hey guys, Greg Gostinkar here. Do you find?
Yeah, whatever, dude. See Lex and Elon, dude. Let's see the.
Do you think there'll be?
Let's watch the 2 most autistic guys ever with different brands of autism talk about ayahuasca, dude. Maybe we'll see if it cured their autism. Spoiler alert. I feel like, how do we say this? There's like 2 flavors of autism, like, Lex is kind of like, I feel like he's like a Buick, and Elon's like a, like a Geo Metro or something, I don't know.
Do you think there'll be, let me ask a Joe Rogan question. Do you think there'll be, I just recently taken ayahuasca. Do you think,
is that a
so this question? No. Well, yes.
Well, I guess technically it is.
Yeah.
Do these guys just get each other's humor? Is that what this is about? It's like, hey, let me...
Have you tried DMT, bro? I love you, Joe. Okay. But
wait. Hey. You guys know Joe Rogan didn't invent DMT, right?
Yeah, have you said much about it?
I have not. I've not. I've been
okay. Well, why don't you spill the beans?
It was a truly incredible.
Don't turn the tables on you.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you're in the jungle.
Chat.
Yeah, amongst the trees, myself.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
And the shaman. Yeah. With the insects, with the animals all around you, like jungle as far as I can see. That's the way to do it.
Things are gonna look pretty wild.
Yeah, pretty wild. I took an extremely high dose.
Just don't go hugging an anaconda or something, you know.
You haven't lived unless you made love to an anaconda. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I took extremely high dose of 9 cups and
damn. Okay, that sounds like a lot. Cups. Of course, it's no just 1 cup.
Let's go.
1 or 2. Well, usually 1. Yeah.
You went. Wait, like right off the bat, or did you work your way up to it?
So I
you just jumped in at the
across
deep end.
across 2 days, because on the first day I took 2, and
Okay.
it was a ride, but it wasn't quite like
It wasn't like a revelation.
it wasn't into deep space type of ride. It was just like a little airplane ride.
Okay.
I saw some trees and some visuals and all that. I just saw a dragon and all that kind of stuff. But
But at 9 cups, you went to Pluto, I think.
Pluto, yeah, no, deep space.
Deep space.
Each cup takes you 1 planet out. 3 cups, Earth.
One of the
Let's try that again. 1 cup takes you to Mercury. 2 cups takes you to Venus. 3 cups, Earth.
interesting
fuck you.
aspects of my experience is I thought I would have some demons, some stuff to work through.
That's what people.
That's what everyone says.
No one ever says. Yeah,
I
exactly.
had nothing. I had all positive. I had just so
just
full.
a pure soul.
I don't think so. I don't know. But I kept thinking about it. It had like extremely high resolution
Okay.
thoughts about the people I know in my life. You were there.
Okay.
It was and it's just not from my relationship with that person, but just as the person themselves. I had just this deep gratitude of who they are.
That's cool.
It was just like this exploration, like like Sims or whatever. You get to watch them.
Sure.
I got to watch people
Okay.
and just be in awe of how amazing they are.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I was waiting for
When's the demon coming?
exactly. Maybe I'll have some negative thoughts. Nothing. Nothing. I had just extreme gratitude for them, and then also a lot of space travel.
Space travel to where?
So here's what it was. It was people, the human beings that I know. They had this kind of. Well, the best way to can describe it is they had a glow to them.
Okay.
And then I kept flying out from them to see Earth, to see our solar system, to see our galaxy. And I saw that light, that glow all across the universe.
Okay.
Like that whatever that form is.
All right.
Whatever that,
did you go past the Milky Way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like intergalactic.
Yeah, intergalactic.
Okay, dang.
Yeah. But always pointing in.
Okay.
Yeah. Past the Milky Way, I saw like a huge number of galaxies, intergalactic, and all of it was glowing. So, but I couldn't control that travel because I would actually explore near distances to the solar system, see if there's aliens or any of that kind of stuff. No, I didn't know. No.
Zero aliens?
Implication of aliens because they were glowing. They were glowing in the same way that humans were glowing. That that like life force that I was seeing. The thing that made humans amazing was there throughout the universe. Like there was these glowing dots. So I don't know. It made me feel like there is life. No, not life, but something. Whatever makes humans amazing all throughout the universe.
Has Leon done ayahuasca? I heard he was just doing a lot of kettle beans, dude.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was amazing. No demons. No demons. I looked for the demons. There's no demons. There were dragons, and they're pretty awesome. So the thing about trees.
Was there anything scary at all?
He just said there were dragons. You just cut them off.
Dragons? But they weren't scary. They were friendly. They were protective. So the thing is,
Puff the Magic Dragon.
No, it was more like
Asian dragons.
Game of Thrones kind of dragons. They weren't very friendly. They were very big. So the thing is about giant trees at night, which is where I was.
I mean, the jungle's kind of
scary.
Yeah.
The trees started to look like dragons, and they were all like looking at me.
Okay.
And it didn't seem scary. They seemed like they were protecting me. And they, the shaman and the people,
they're trees.
didn't speak any English, by the way, which made it even scarier. Because we're not even like, we're worlds apart in many ways. It just, but yeah, there was not. They talk about the mother of the forest protecting you, and that's what I felt like.
And you're way out in the jungle.
Way out. This is not like a tourist retreat.
Like 10 miles outside of Rio or something.
No, we went. No, this is not a.
You're
this is
deep,
not
deep
a
Amazon.
So me and this guy named Paul Rosalie, who basically is
Paul Rosalie, dude. Listen to this guy if you can. Paul Rosalie's got some great pods, dude. He's good, man. Listen to him on anything if you can. He's got some pods. Would love to meet that guy. Love to meet that guy. He knows some cool shit about the Amazon. He's that boy, Paul Rosalie.
Tarzan, he lives in the jungle. We went out deep and we just went
He's not Tarzan.
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the Amazon. Looks cool.
Yeah. So anyway, can I get that same experience in a Neuralink?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, God. What a terrible ending. It was like, it was Paul Rosalie to Neuralink. Ugh. Ugh. Aaron Rodgers. Okay, look, it's midnight, dude. Aubrey Marcus' podcast. Aaron Rodgers, ayahuasca. This is
one of the lessons that came through your first night of ayahuasca when we did it. So we went off to see my first shaman, El Dragón de la Selva, Maestro Orlando, fucking legend. You know, kind of the epitome of the Quechua lineage in that deep lineage tradition of serving medicine. There's 3 lineages in Peru. Mostly there's the mestizo tradition.
2 years ago. But no one tells you after DMT. What the heck?
The Quechua tradition, the Shipibo. 3 lineages in Peru. Mostly there's the mestizo tradition, the Quechua tradition, the Shipibo tradition. And he's part of the Quechua tradition. And we went to go see him. Medicine is thick. Medicine is heavy. And I remember you had to square off with the double-edged sword of caring and the drive to be excellent in everything, which is really harsh self-criticism.
Yeah, it was, going into this experience, I was like, oh, perfect. I got my intentions. I got the things I want to do. I want to call in these people. I want to have talks with these people's higher selves. I want to do all this stuff. And night 1 was like, it had a mind of its own. And it was all about a major ego death. It was going to the depths of my soul and hearing and feeling all that self-criticism, all that doubt, all that judgment that I placed on myself, and sitting with it for hours with 0 psychoactive experiences, nothing happening other than me and that voice in my head, on my shoulder, in my heart, in my body saying, you are not enough. You're not worth it.
That's what you've been feeding yourself. See, here's the thing. This is so funny, right? Because I've achieved nothing in life. I've heard that voice. I hear that voice all day, every day. You're nothing. You can't achieve anything. This guy doesn't hear it. He's not listening. He's put it down. He's pushed it down somehow. People who have achieved everything, they somehow like haven't faced it, and this is like bringing it out. The people, those of us who have to listen constantly, that feeling is just pervasive all the time. There's a chance, there's a non-zero chance that you're going to find relief from that. But somebody who hasn't really dealt with it, I think they have to. They got to just go into it.
You're a shitty person. You're all these things.
This is not medical advice. Okay? But when you wake up every day knowing you're kind of a shitty person, there really is nothing scary about the spirit world. I mean, if you already live in hell, it's not much place to go but up. But if you're ultra successful, you get so far to fall.
And sitting with the depth of that reality. And it was really, really tough. And it broke me to the core. And I wrestled with it for hours. I asked for another cup. I wanted some other experience other than the one that I was dealing with. And ayahuasca said, no. This is the work we're doing right now. You have these ideas about, healing this relationship and doing this. And
you had big intentions to reconcile some of the feelings with your family, which has been challenging. You had all these noble intentions. Ayahuasca's like, no, we got other plans.
You can't do anything in this life until you really truly.
What's up, chat? Aaron Rodgers' ayahuasca experience, which is from 2 years ago. What do you want to see us watch? What do you want to see us, Lewis? Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca experience.
Truly unconditionally love yourself. Whew, okay. So that in this life until you really, truly unconditionally love yourself.
Which has been challenging. You had all these noble intentions. Ayahuasca's like, no, we got other plans.
You can't do anything in this life until you really, truly, unconditionally love yourself. Whew, okay. So that's what I had to do. I had to surrender fully to the idea that everything I was telling myself was true.
What's up, chat? Who's here? Say hi! I get so excited when someone comes in.
And that's the only time, that's when it finally broke, was I laid there on that mat and I...
Surrender, doofus. It's called surrender. See, people with shitty lives, we already know how to surrender.
Made peace with the possibility that all of these lies I was telling myself could possibly be true. And in that reality of the worst...
The thing you got to realize about infinite universes is any statement that can be made, that means somewhere exists a universe where that statement's 100% true. Somewhere is a universe where that statement is 100% false, and you live in between, in the middle.
All of these lies I was telling myself could possibly be true. And in that reality of the worst self-talk you could possibly imagine, feeling like the lowest human on the planet and not worthy ever in this life of unconditional love. Whew.
Dude, these success jockeys, they don't have to deal. It's like somewhere within them is that feeling, but they don't have to. You don't really have to confront it when you're hyper successful, and then the spirit world says, "Hey, bud, what do you think about this?" Yeah.
Man. Taking me back there right now.
Steve?
Yeah.
Strong man cry.
I said,
Strong man cry!
And we had a group of 22 amazing people and incredible...
22 amazing people. 22 amazing people. At most you had 16 amazing people. 4 complete losers and 2 like, I'm not going to be friends with that guy, but yeah, I can ignore him.
Facilitators and El Dragon and all his magic.
Oh, facilitators? Sorry. Oh, was that the people? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that the... Wait a minute. Was that the shamans? I didn't mean to speak ill of the shamans. What is this? What did
people
they say?
And incredible facilitators and El Dragon.
Oh, no, 22 amazing people.
And we had a group of 22 amazing people and incredible facilitators and El Dragon.
Oh, incredible. Okay, 22 amazing people and incredible facilitators. People aren't that amazing, dude. Like this guy, I'm not amazed. I don't know what he does. Sometimes I'm amazed that humans can do a thing. Not often. Maybe that's not the best way to go through life, you know? I don't know.
And all his magic. And I laid there with that reality, that being my reality, that all the things I said about myself are true and are real. And I said, is there anybody in this room who could still love me?
Probably the shaman.
And you came to mind first.
Oh! Bomb. Bromance. Bomb.
And with the connections in the room, I felt like there were a few others, you know, who came to mind as well, including your incredible wife. And what came...
Sincerity hurts sometimes, doesn't it? Sincerity is like, oh. It's really hard. It's really hard to do. And getting close to the spirit world makes it a little easier. And then people will literally tell you, oh, it doesn't count as much because you were close to the spirit world. And, oh, it's so easy to say I love you to people. So you should wait. You should wait. That's like saying, in Mario, get the star that makes you invincible, and then just stand there, and wait for it to wear off, and then run the course. Listen, I don't know, and don't listen to me ever, but it's possible that you should say the difficult thing while you have the power up. It's possible that that is precisely when you should say it, because you might not ever be able to after that. To that person at that time. Okay? So if you're feeling spicy and you appreciate someone, I don't care. I don't care if people think, oh, it's just the drugs. Drugs don't have feelings. Drugs don't write words. Your psyche was not in that substance. That substance turned on switches. Okay? Stay spicy, folks.
Came through next was, and what came through next was the voice in my head, which wasn't really my voice anymore. And it said, if at your lowest of low, these people can still love you, then you should be able to love yourself.
That's so funny, because my experience is like, if you don't love yourself, who's going to? It's so funny, because people have these... When parents put a lot of pressure on kids, they go one of two ways, okay? They overachieve or they underachieve, okay? I don't know too many people that are like a middle achiever who are like, yeah, I did, you know, it's like, I did my best and it worked okay and I got an okay job. It's like, you got people who are like in the gallery selling paintings, making money. And then you got people who are like just destroying, just crumpling up the sheet and throwing it in the trash, just burning their book of drawings, or just like making a bunch of dope beats and just erasing that shit. The experience of overachievers and underachievers is so different. This guy is like, if these people can love you at your work, who can... What? What did he... My experience is like... Yeah, maybe people love... I don't know. Love is like such a weird thing that gets thrown around in Western culture. But to me, I would identify more with... If you don't love yourself, if you don't respect yourself, who's going to? If you don't do something, if you don't help yourself, who's going to help you? If you don't respect yourself, who's going to respect you? If you don't do something for yourself, who's going to do something for you? Again, this guy did the stuff. We're coming from such opposite places, right?
Very much like my first story where ayahuasca was like, you have cancer and you're going to die. And
whoa, you're going to die. Well, these things do kind of simulate death, don't they?
Until I accepted. It's this interesting thing, you know, in life, we find obstacle, we learn, especially as men.
I told you we're going to die, like everybody's going to die.
And fight that obstacle.
Oh,
fight it, resist
okay,
it,
word.
Overcome it by force of will.
Force of will.
And in the medicine space,
FW.
it's an opposite skill. How much can you let go? How deeply can you accept? And in the acceptance is the...
How much can you let go? How deeply can you accept? I had this thought the other day. I was like, is visiting the spirit world, I was like, is that the heroine's journey? I was like, I'm a pretty feminine man. Is my conflict inward? Is it like, once I conquer the self, I can conquer the world? Maybe that's it. These guys that have achieved things, you may not think their achievements count, but these guys are rich and famous. Like these guys have status. Period. You can't argue with that, and it's you know, if you make a living like from your podcast, like, I respect that, okay? But I can't relate to you. I'm a nobody. What is I'm just kidding.
This alchemical transformation that's available, and that's
hold on.
How much can you let go? How deeply can you accept? And in the fight that obstacle. If we find obstacle, we learn, especially as men, fight that obstacle.
Yeah.
Fight it, resist it, overcome it by force of will. And in the medicine space, it's an opposite skill.
The medicine space. I don't like hate that. How deeply can you accept it, dude?
How much can you let go?
How much can you let go? I can let go. I can let go so hard. Because all my dreams are dead. I'm so good at letting go, because the one thing I clung to was a lie. I sold myself on the idea I could make it in music. Like, let's go, dude. Like the universe, if you don't, I like to say, if you don't impose order on your life, the universe will impose order on your life on its terms. And I'm speaking firsthand. These guys know that too. They just didn't get, they just weren't as autistic and as clinging to their thing and doing they were more pragmatic. I don't know. I think the difference between these people and me was self-esteem. But because they did it, they just did the thing. They just went and did stuff. And that's incredible to me.
How deeply can you accept? And in the acceptance is,
I can accept, like my acceptance was like like so level up, dude. If your life is a shit fest, and you just hear about radical acceptance, you're like, whoa. What if we just lived in this shit fest?
Is this alchemical transformation that's available, and that's the brilliance, the magnificent brilliance of ayahuasca is it will keep you. And Iboga does the same thing, very much so. Iboga once told me I was the biggest piece of shit on the planet for like 9 hours.
Let's go. Hey, that could still happen to me, by the way. I haven't been as deep as I haven't done what these guys are talking about, by the way. What have I done? I'm not gonna say, but I haven't done this. Okay, maybe I'm gonna feel like the biggest POS on the planet for 9 hours. I can accept that because I I've embraced the dark side.
And then finally I did the same thing. I accepted it. It showed me as this like bowling ball, whereas like I had this gravitational force and I would draw people to me and then I would crush them and their own will would get usurped by my own energy. And it was just like,
that's what you've been doing, by the way. If you're successful, doesn't mean you screwed everybody over. I'm just saying you took this little bit of energy, okay? Like think about the stock market, right? Like on the stock market, like for you to win, somebody has to lose, right? So spiritually, energetically, and materially in life, for you to succeed, like someone's losing, right? So this is like literally going to show you that your success came at a cost. Because to me, the unsuccessful person, you know what they've said? The success you want, go crush some people, if that's what you want. Go claim it. Go grab it. Because nobody else is going to grab it and hand it to you. You have to go grab it. And by definition, somebody else doesn't get, like, every dollar you make, somebody else didn't make, okay? Somebody didn't, they didn't keep it, and they didn't give it to somebody else. They gave it to you. So, like, is this a zero-sum game? I guess so. And I guess these ultra-successful guys are reckoning with that. And that's kind of crazy.
I was just the worst.
What's up, chat? What's up, chat? This guy's the worst. You just heard it. I was the worst. Listen. When you succeed, you are both the best and the worst at the same time, okay?
By my own energy, and it was just like, I was just the worst. And then I was like, fine, I'm the fucking worst. Okay, Iboga, you win. Like, I'm the worst of the worst.
I'm the worst.
And I was like, nah, just kidding, bro. And it showed that ball lift up out of the ground instead of trampling things. It was like a sun and all things were growing underneath it. It was like, this is who you really are. But that lesson of,
this is who you really are. That's your interpretation, bro. You're both. You're both. And y'all out there, dude, listen. This guy, the other guy, Aubrey Marcus, Aaron Rodgers, and you, it's like, you are the worst and you are the best, okay? And those are simultaneously true. And that's what you got to understand. Jake Marino, what's up? Yo, vlog. Scientists in a distant galaxy just discovered a rare vibe frequency called Alpha Sigma Radiance. It only shows up when someone is unapologetically themselves while doing dumb shit online. That secretly inspires others. They detected a burst of it coming from your stream. Thank you. You gonna keep broadcasting like it's nothing, or are you gonna realize you're the main character in a cosmic mixtape being recorded live? That's really beautiful, man. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. I had 4 people for a minute there. That was peak, dude. I might actually clip this though. I might have something here. I might cut this into a video when I'm done. Those are actually really beautiful words, and I thank you. Jake, if you wanna if you ever want to do a pod or something, or just chat, you're my goat, Brody. That is the sweetest shit ever, dude. Don't even play. That's amazing. I appreciate you so much, dude. It's like you're the best and you're the worst. Like we all have the potential, and we all do the fucked up. We have both sides of the force within us. Like, might as well master both. Worst thing that happens is somebody cut your hands off, you know? It's like, dude, my email's super full. But, I wish YouTube had DMs, man. I need to make a community post. Anyway, let a naysayer know, brother. I've been sub since the trash tasting days, the Arby's reviews, drop merch, dude. Yes, thank you. I'm gonna drop hearts. I'm dropping hearts in the chat because I appreciate you. The trash tasting days. What is that? I've done some dumpster diving. I was thinking about doing a video where I drink all my expired coffee. Like I make like, I'm like, how old is this? Let's go. Coffee's so nasty when it's old. Just a thought I had. I do, dude. I get really good food from the dumpster. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if I've ever like because generally when I do stuff that's like super cringe, I don't post it. Like, you're not gonna get a lot of shots of like the inside of my house because it's still it's not. I'm working on it. I'm getting really close to like regular jank. Like I'm getting my house slowly to like, oh, your place is like I'm trying to get to like. I'm trying to get to like, oh, this place is quirky, oh, this place is a little offbeat, like it's like in physically, I'm trying to get to like what my friend said, like half fat, half jacked. That's where I'm trying to get in life. That's also the aesthetic of my house. I'm gonna get to like half messy, of like what it is now, half organized. But I'm a trash goblin. It's fine. Like we're all like, dude, everyone is the trash goblin, and everyone is like the most like the most particular princess of like, ew, I'm not eating that. That's all. Like the breadth of the universe is within you. Merch wise, I was gonna wait till I hit the first level of monetization, which I need like I'm at the 500 subs, but I need the 3,000 watch hours because I was gonna do Shopify. I will try to find my Arby's reviews, dude. I wish I'd figured out editing sooner, but it takes time. And then anyway, so I got an Etsy somewhere with like a couple stupid things. Let me dig that up. Let me dig that up and revise it because I do have some I do have like a custom cat account, and you know, my understanding is that as far as print on demand, they're kind of the cream of the crop, and they make their stuff in Detroit. So we'll see. Let's see what we can do with this video.
It's counterintuitive.
Let's back up.
And then it was like, nah, just kidding, bro. And it showed that ball.
Was it just kidding, or was it showing you had both? I think you got both within. I think inside you there are two wolves. You see, what I'm trying to say is we live in a society, bro.
Lift up out of the ground instead of trampling things. It was like a sun, and all things were growing underneath it. It's like, this is who you really are. With that lesson of, it's counterintuitive.
I don't know. Maybe there is a higher self. Like maybe God is omnibenevolent. Maybe we're awesome. Maybe we're all the best. Maybe our true self is just the best self. I don't know. From a pragmatic standpoint, that's not a bad belief system.
It's like, it requires us to accept the thing that we're afraid of or the thing that we're resisting. And in the acceptance is the permission to transform. And you really wouldn't learn that other way of doing things. At least it's hard.
Vlog, let's say tomorrow a big brand hits you up. They're offering life-changing money, enough to move out, upgrade gear, help family, for real. Or do you turn it down, stay broke, and keep grinding honestly while someone else takes the bag instead? Oh. I kind of feel like that type of shortcut doesn't work. And one thing I don't want to do, I want to be very clear. Like I'm definitely not looking for indentured servitude. I really, I mean, life-changing money, like, ugh. But the thing I really don't want to do is sell my IP and then, like, have to go to work for someone else while, like, they make the money. Like, they're going to give me the support I need, but now I have to go to work and they make money. Oh, I just got a new job, man. Let's see how that goes, okay? Because here's the thing, like I don't think the money's gonna come until I have a bigger audience. But if they came along tomorrow, I mean, I'd really have to look at the deal, have to have my attorney look at the contract, okay? I'd read the contract, I'd send it to my my buddy, and good answer, thank you. Yeah, it depends how soul. I'm not selling my soul, but I would love some support. But yeah, I really don't want to sell my IP, become an indentured servant. I don't want to end up like in the Andrew Callahan situation, even though I guess he's cool with them now. Because he's like, I have to push this boulder up this hill and double my income every whatever, and my income's still zero from this. So it's like, it's kind of my look, and I'm getting old, and I wanna have a family before I get too old, and I haven't had the opportunity to do that, and like, oh well, you know, like it'll be time when it's time, and we'll see, and you know, I'm starting a day job like kind of next week. I kind of started today, and next week I'm starting for real, and it's like being up during the day, it's really energizing, and I feel like when you work during the day, you get more done at night. Instead, when you wake up at night, you don't really feel like yourself. You don't really know what you can feel like when you're being productive during the day and doing what you're supposed to do in the world. So, you know, like the fact I went to work today and I haven't earned anything yet, okay? I'm on straight commission with this new thing. But I gotta have some faith that it's gonna work out. And so, but it's like just going to the office is like, hey, like, you're taking steps. Like, I have something to be proud of for once, you know? And here's the thing, like, the moment I left the office, took my shoes off, and I walked to Dollar Tree, and I put my flip-flops on with the socks, and then I'm coming up on the field, and I'm like, man, whatever, I get out of the socks, I get out of it, because I'm like, I want to ground in this field. Barefoot's healthier, so, like, I gotta wear this business casual, this business professional, whatever they're trying to talk to me about. But I'm gonna stay feral at heart. I got what I sometimes like to call the hunter-gatherer brain. Okay? It's like, don't bother me with this shit. I'm trying to pick berries and throw spears at some shit, dude. I'm trying to work 3 or 4 hours a day. Yeah, come work 10 hours a day. Oh, come in on Saturday. Like, how bad do you want it? Yeah. Okay. Hey, you know, the sun's really healthy. Sunlight's really good for you. Why don't you go work indoors for a while? You know, I there's this whole thing, a concept of giving up some freedom short term to gain freedom long term. I'm gonna take that bet. I'm gonna take it and we're gonna pray. Thanks so much for your support. Let's get through this video. Let's see what's up. Hey vlog, you're not too old, bro. You're just early in the part where the real ones start winning. Anyone who made it faster, they got lucky or burned out. You've been seasoning, you got layer, thank you. You got stories, scars, a sense of humor you earned in this new job. That's not the end of the dream, that's gas money for the next arc. Bro. I 100% agree, and I feel you. That's not the end of the dream, that's gas money for the next arc. Yeah, dude, it's XP, so don't look at your age like a timer. Look at it like a level number. And guess what? Nobody wants to fight a level 8 boss who's been through it. They want that tutorial dude with shiny teeth. They want that tutorial dude with shiny teeth? Nah, they want you. Keep going, you're not late. You're just hard mode unlocked. Don't let them take advantage of you. Okay. Don't look at your age like a timer. Look at it like a level number. That's funny, dude. I was just telling this dude at the office today. I was like, I think of life as an RPG. And I'm like, let's say you're on... You know, you're on level 32, and you know, I said, imagine say you're age 32. Not my age, by the way. I'm older than that. But let's say you're on age 32. That's level 32 of life. Let's say your speechcraft skills at a 12. Oops. Let's say you're on level 34, and your self-esteem is a 5. Oh. Heal that root chakra, right? That was me. I don't know about 34, but let's just say, I mean, 20s, dude. Self-esteem's a 4 or 5, yeah. Bad. You know what's funny, dude? I'm in this meeting. This dude gets ChatGPT to write a sales pitch. We're marketing to seniors, and ChatGPT comes up with this thing about you're on, you know, like, I wish I'd written it down or recorded it. Oh my god, it was like, I'll actually see if they recorded that Zoom meeting, and I'll ask for it. Or I'm going to get ChatGPT to write me pitches. It was talking about being on level 65, like, in the game of life. I was like, what? It's like, I just told a guy that. What? Here's the only thing I'm worried about. Can I tell you something? I know for men, like, once you get the bag, like, your status will go up and you'll have more mating opportunities, but that sweet DNA is still degrading. Okay? Now can I get the DNA up? Okay? Could I in a 2 to 5 year period, could I get my DNA healthier? Maybe. If I throw enough polyphenols, enough keto, okay, enough sunlight, enough cold, enough sauna. My God, I'm hitting the hay. Do not stop the grind. We are with you eternally and spiritually. Dude, you're the GOAT. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna finish reacting to this just because I think I was getting somewhere with it. And then I'll probably get off of here. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate all that so much, and thank you for your support. I wonder how many I remember you being there pretty early. I wonder how many subs I had when you came on. Anyway, Jake, it looks like you took off, but fair enough. We got to go to bed in this world. I don't have to work tomorrow, but I still need to get off here. Thanks for coming by, and let's get back to the video.
Without something extraordinarily challenging in your life where you can actually at least over the thing that we're resisting, and in the acceptance is the permission to transform. And you really wouldn't learn that other way of doing things, at least it's hard, without something extraordinarily challenging in your life where you can actually do that in real life. But this is a way to actually not require, because the universe wants us to learn that lesson. So instead of having to play it out in real life, which is messy and takes a long time and has a lot of consequences, we get to work through these things in like this Dr. Strange bubble of medicine where we get to do it for practice, but it's for real for a whole.
That's absolutely correct. It's like Neil Brennan said, like, do people change? Yeah, people change. People change when they almost die, and by maybe 10 or 15%, something like that. Well, the medicine simulates death. So he's completely correct. They're like, I heard some of the research bros saying that it sort of allows you to model rock bottom. Okay, you can mentally, this guy's Dr. Strange bubble, you can mentally rock bottom yourself to the land of Magoo.
Life, so that what I really believe is that life won't force us into those situations where we have to learn that lesson the hard way through a near-death experience or a cataclysmic injury or something like that. We can actually learn something really important in a space where we're safe and healthy.
Yeah, 100%. Night 2, when I got down to the Maloka, I was in a way different headspace. I had gone through the
What's the Maloka?
Ego death. I had sat with all those feelings and emotions of unworthiness and felt a deep, meaningful, unconditional love. And it was nice to have a day off in between to kind of start to feel into that and integrate those deep lessons, which I'm still integrating. But night 2, I came to Matt. I said, you know what? If I have to meditate for 5 hours and asking my journey, I'm totally okay with it. I'm just completely surrendered. I have zero.
What else do you do on a journey? I thought the correct thing was to meditate for several hours.
Agenda. I'm not coming in with these like intentions or I'm going to, have these incredible breakthroughs. It's just like whatever needs to come through can come through. And I had the most beautiful journey I could possibly imagine where, and the funny part about that is you haven't.
So you mean this, you mean he totally surrendered and it was awesome? Wow. It's almost like it's almost like people aren't full of shit when they say things about stuff.
Told the story, but I had made up my mind on the way down the Maloka, I was going to do the house brew. I wasn't going to do the dragon brew.
What's the house brew versus the dragon brew? Can somebody explain this to me?
There were a couple options, and I decided, I didn't journey the first night, really. I had this really tough ego death, so I'm like, I'm going to smooth sail it tonight. I'm going to take the house brew. I'm going to, blast off. I'm going to be great. And
for people to know, there was a Soltara has its own house brew of the medicine that they brew and typically serve. That they cultivate themselves. And then El Dragon brought his own brew from his own village and his own trees and his own prayers and his own medicine. But night one, it was fairly diluted, and I went first. I drank first that second night.
This is the story I was in. Yeah.
And it was so thick. It was like I almost had to chew it.
But I heard the noises. You went, oh,
yeah.
When he started to pour it, I was like,
everybody actually. So
Jen and Valko.
Yeah, Orlando, Jen, and Valko. So the facilitators, Maestro Orlando, Jen, and Valko, they pour this particular brew, and it just comes out so thick. And I even hear Orlando, which is uncharacteristic, go, oh, and then Jen and Valko go, oh, and pour me that full cup, and I was like, oh man, this one's gonna be potent.
And then thankfully you left, you drank, and then you came right over to my mat and said, I don't know what you're thinking, but Orlando's brew is thick tonight. And so I was like, I'm in. And
first you were like, well, what should I do? And I was like, I don't know, man. I just got the message that I wanted to tell you that it's thick tonight.
Yeah, and as I've tried to do, the signs and synchronicities are everywhere. And I said, okay, this is too random because I've really been on the fence here. I'm going in. And so I went in, and, by the time everybody had finished serving, because I was one of the first ones to drink, I started deep on a journey where the ayahuasca is usually described as a grandmother spirit. And I met her and walked with her through past, present, and future lives. And it was the most beautiful experience I could possibly imagine. I literally was able to ask her question after question about things that were on my mind and have the most beautiful journey I could possibly imagine in that setting. And obviously, down there, at Soltara, and with Maestro Orlando and with Jen and Valko and the other incredible facilitators, and just the group of incredible humans we had there, made for just an incredibly intentional and energetically connected environment, which I think really was important to set, the protection around the space as we did, and the intention. And it allowed for so many of us to have deep and meaningful journeys. And for me, night 2 was enjoying the highest bliss possible that I could even have imagined in my wildest dreams the night before or leading up to the trip. So deeply grateful for that. Night 3 was not quite the same journey. I went from the ego death night 1, incredible bliss night 2, and then night 3 again came with a really open heart to whatever needed to come through, and went on a journey to start, and then was told to go outside and do some a ritual outside, and then came back in the space, and there was a lot of energy going around. And then, as it being the last night, when the ceremony ended, there was a lot of joy and hugs, and Makad was leaving in the middle of the night, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And when all this was going on, I was going through it. I had the end of the ego death, there's a rebirth. But in my rebirth process, I was overwhelmed by the incredible grief of my life as I knew it, and the rebirth into a new perspective, a new timeline, a new trajectory. And as I've been working on, and you've been a good guide for this, and so many other important people in my life, speaking into my life, I just sat with that. And it was very difficult. The overwhelming sense of sadness and grief of what I was leaving behind. I just sat with that for hours, probably 2 hours, as I was begging grandmother to let me purge whatever was inside of me and needed to come out. And she said, not yet. Not yet, my son. There's more.
After a meditation session I did recently, deep meditation, if you know what I mean. I only did like an hour, honestly. No, a little more than, okay. Literally, it was the Johns Hopkins playlist, and then John Hopkins, the British electronic musician, came on. And I don't know how much John Hopkins there was in there, but then I went and met up with the roommates, went to farmer's market, had a bit of a delusional mystery encounter. Anyone could be your brand new love. Went to Publix. And Publix felt so dark. I just stood there in the Publix, sitting in some kind of misery. Trying to confront some kind of ancient feelings from my own life. Is this what you got to do in this world? I mean, working inside a store, like a grocery store, is something I haven't. Well, I did try it once, a smaller store, and Publix was heavy. But I got the sense. I mean, it was really a low point, but it kind of felt right in a way. Publix is Publix is a crazy place spiritually. But I guess you know how long you're supposed to dwell on that stuff. It's stirred up some old stuff that perhaps I need to let go of. Maybe I need to stop grieving what could have been. Because this is the timeline I'm on. And I'm still here right now. And I'm super grateful for that.
And so I sat with that and didn't fight it and just surrendered to...
I didn't fight Publix. Can't fight City Hall. You certainly can't fight Publix. You can't fight these jungle spirits. That's for sure.
To feeling into the depth of all those beautiful emotions, incredible experiences from the past, heartbreak, failures, frustrations, deep, deep sadness. And then I purged at about 4:30 in the morning, finally. And laid there afterwards on my mat and then opened my eyes. And it felt like I was opening my eyes for the first time. And as the bat animal card instructs, the rebirth, the death of the ego is followed by the rebirth, and the integration of that is a sunrise. So in Costa Rica, the sunrise is very early, and it was only about 45 minutes until the sun rose that morning, that beautiful morning at 5:15, and I sat there on my mat, breathing in what felt like brand new oxygen into my lungs, and enjoyed the beauty and the mystery of this life, and the howler monkeys and their noises in the jungle, and the sounds of life waking up.
Yep.
And that's what I felt like happened to me on that third day, and I felt like I was kind of walking on air back up to the room. It was very special.
Okay. He was wrong.
The best thing about Baptists is their focus on personal faith in Jesus. If you grew up going to church, that doesn't mean anything unless you have a personal relationship with God. And that's why they don't baptize.
Doesn't everybody know that?
Babies, because they think baptism needs to be a sign of a personal conversion experience.
I mean, fair.
They focus a lot on how Jesus changes people's lives. And because it's all about a personal relationship for them, they encourage a lot of individual Bible reading, and that's why Baptists are often the best at reading and memorizing scripture. The best thing about Baptists is their focus on...
Well, they sure throw around the word personal relationship a lot. Just trying to get off of here, man. Waska.
You enjoying?
Where's the zoomer?
And on one hand, I do appreciate it because that self-criticism.
Let's go a couple shorts here.
The non-denominational should not be in the Protestant bucket anymore, be in a different bucket. And it doesn't quite follow Protestantism to its full capacity. And it's actually drawing more confusion than it's actually helping the Protestant movement.
Really, we need to think of a solid definition of Protestant. That needs to be the starting place. A lot of people think Protestant is just this miscellaneous category of any church that calls itself Christian that's like not Catholic or Orthodox. But that's kind of meaningless. A category that's defined by a negative quality could have infinite elements to it. So if I start a cult in my basement, is that Protestant? Mormonism, is that Protestant? Jehovah's Witness, is that Protestant? So if Protestantism can include absolutely anything, if it's just a negative category of not Catholic or Orthodox, then it's pointless to even talk about.
I mean, Mormonism did come from Puritan, there was a lot of weird Puritan cults at one point. And, I understand the theological reasons they're saying that Mormons aren't Christian, but, it's where it comes from.
Pointless to even talk about Protestantism. So now some people might say, okay, maybe let's define Protestantism as the 5 solas. So any church that adheres to the 5 solas is Protestant.
Okay.
But the thing is, where are you getting that from? Where are you getting this idea that the 5 solas defines Protestantism? Because the 5 solas as like this set of things didn't exist until the 20th century. So what defines Protestantism? Well, it ain't rocket surgery. What defines Protestantism is the Protestant Reformation, where a bunch of Catholics in the Catholic Church protested the leadership of the Catholic Church, and for protesting the leadership of the Roman Catholic Church, these Catholics were forcibly kicked out of the Roman Catholic Church. So Protestants are Catholics in protest of the Pope. It makes no sense to call someone a Protestant if they're not rooted in the Catholic Church. Otherwise, what are you protesting? It's not like some random guy who starts a church in his basement could be like, I'm protesting the Pope.
The non-denominational should not be in the Protestant bucket.
Fair enough, dude. Who is it? You're gonna make me watch this other short?
Did you know that there's one major branch of Christianity that has never baptized anyone? Wait, what? Yeah, if you're a Methodist or a Presbyterian, you might have been sprinkled as a baby. Or if you were a Baptist like me, it might have happened later in life. But there's one major denomination of Christianity that has never baptized anyone. Since the 1700s, the Quakers have never had any formal clergy. They haven't met in corporately owned buildings, and most.
So what's your take?
Did you know that there's one major branch against anyone? Since the 1700s, the Quakers have never had any formal clergy. They haven't met in corporately owned buildings, and most distinctly, they've never physically baptized anyone. A key passage for them comes from John, who said, I baptize you with water, but one who's coming after me is more powerful. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit. One of Paul's later letters mentions that we are of one Lord, one faith, one baptism, which has left a lot of Quakers asking, why then does the church so strongly support two separate ones, a spiritual one and then a water one? Did you know that there's one?
Fair enough, Quakers.
So what's your take?
Muslims experience more racism than black people.
I don't know, I'm not black.
Yeah, I'm Somali, so I mean I'm black and I'm Muslim. I'm what you call, you know? Before 9/11, my black side experienced most racism, and after 9/11, my Muslim side experienced more racism.
So you have dual racism?
Dual racism. Like, I just came in from Oslo, and at JFK, I was expecting a lot of racism for being black, but they treated me really nice, really nice. And then I showed my passport, and he read my name. It's like, Yonis Yusuf Abdullah Afrah. And he's like, oh man, I forgot to apply racism. And then he took me to a random check.
So physically, he was like, oh, it's a cool black guy.
Yes.
But then he saw your name and he said, oh, that's a Muslim guy. Let's send him to the detention center.
No, random check.
Oh, random check.
Detention center. Not yet, not yet. And I'm also from Norway, you know. So the white people here in America, they came here with chips many years ago. I'm from where they make the white people.
Oh, they make white people in Norway?
The factory, dude.
I thought it was Sweden.
No, it's Norway, man. But Norway is quite racist. Like, they have this word in Norway where they call us neger. In Norway, neger.
I'm not saying it.
You can say it there.
No, I'm not saying it.
You can say it, but don't say it. Don't say it.
No, I'm not saying it.
Don't say it.
Don't make me say it.
But I can say it.
You say it whatever you want.
And the thing is, when you meet Norwegians who say it, they will kind of be like, oh, it's not racist. It actually means black in Latin.
But they use it as an insult.
Yeah.
Then it's definitely racist.
It's the N-word in Norway, man.
Do you ever see any black tourists in Norway and you give them the nod?
We always nod black because we're like, I see you, man.
It's not just for black people, by the way.
No.
Because I do the nod.
With Arabs or with everybody?
If I'm in a white zone, a white territory, like Norway, I would do the nod to anyone who's a little bit dark.
How dark are we talking? Italian?
Yes.
Italian gets the nod?
Yeah, because like my friend Anthony, he looks Pakistani.
Is he not Pakistani?
He's Italian.
That is the most Pakistani looking man I've ever seen, man. That nose is from Islamabad, dude.
Yeah, so if I saw him in Norway, I'd go like this.
Yeah, but he could say neger in Norway, though.
So what's your take?
That was pretty lit, honestly. I'm not going to comment on any of those issues, but that was pretty good. Sorry. It's getting late, y'all. I gotta hop off of here. You get some Betty by, dude. I'm trying to get on the good schedule. The good schedule. Let's see what this guy's gonna say about Baptists, because let's go. Why does it always skip the 3? You know what? What if I just move it over there? Well, then what happens?
Baptists have had more of an influence on modern Christianity than anyone else due to their focus on personal faith and Bible reading. They're behind most of conservative Christians. Baptists have had more...
That guy's a Baptist? Is that, what's his name? Charles? Charles, right?
More of an influence on modern Christianity than anyone else due to their focus on personal faith and Bible reading. They're behind most of conservative Christianity, especially in America, and even conservative Christians in other denominations.
I keep missing the beginning.
Baptists have had more of an influence on modern Christianity than anyone else due to their focus on personal faith and Bible reading. They're behind most of conservative...
Yeah, you know what? Quit hating on Christians when you just hate Baptists. Because a lot of the other Christians are not feeling this stuff. But, you know, whatever, dude. You do your thing.
conservative Christianity, especially in America, and even conservative Christians in other denominations are still usually influenced by Baptists. Let's
Okay.
see where they are on the church compass.
Low,
They're one of the most
low,
low
low.
church denominations, and you will find liberal Baptists, but those are a lot more rare than conservative.
Super rare. Where's the liberal Baptists? Maybe some of the black Baptist denominations. I would love. I really need to look up some videos about the African American churches because I don't know as much about them, and I don't know what the degree of correspondence to the white churches is because we had a segregated country for a minute here, you know?
Baptists. Generally, Baptists have kept themselves more conservative than the other Protestant groups. They are more high church than non-denominationals, because Baptists
Right.
still believe church should have some structure and formality, but they're
Right, like it should be in a building with like a shape. It shouldn't just be like you can build a new gym that's like a rectangle, but don't don't go to church in a rectangle. Try not to go to church in just a metal a metal rectangle. A lot of non-denoms though, dude, they're in like actually I've seen some stunning non-denom architecture. Probably better than Baptist, but then I feel like structure. They mean like liturgical structure. I literally there's your autistic moment for the day. I went for architecture.
more low church than all of these groups, because all of these groups practice infant baptism. Baptizing babies shows that being a Christian is more than just having a personal belief in Jesus. It's also about being part of the broader church community. But since Baptists only baptize those who make a profession of faith, they see the church as just a fellowship of individual believers, and you can't really be a Christian unless you personally believe in it yourself. That's the fundamental belief of Baptist theology. Don't baptize babies. Wait until they can make a profession of faith so you know that they mean it. And everything else Baptists believe is connected to this somehow. First of all, they're very individualistic, which is why they're very common in America. If you ask the average American if you should baptize babies...
Oh, man. Individualism for the win.
Or let them choose it themselves, they're going to say you should let them choose it themselves. That's what I mean. Also, they don't believe baptism saves, because if you're baptizing someone, you're assuming that they already have been saved by faith, and baptism is just a symbol of that.
By grace are ye saved through faith, not of works, lest any man should boast.
So they believe baptism is an outward sign of an inward transformation, and that inward transformation is called being born again, where you go from not Christian to Christian, and that happens when you start to have true faith in Jesus.
Okay. I think I know my biggest beef with the Baptists. Asking people to go through this transformation and be born again without the spirit medicine. Unhinged. Might actually be my beef with all the modern churches.
They believe salvation is by faith alone, and they really want to avoid nominal Christianity. They really want to make sure everyone who says they're a Christian really means it. So that means you should only baptize people who really say they want to be Christian themselves. That is the really big thing for Baptists. A lot of what they do is to avoid nominal Christianity. What's nominal Christianity, you ask?
We gotta go at
it
the
looks
end of
something
this one,
like
no matter
this.
what.
Yeah, I'm a
No one's
Christian
here.
because my grandma took me to church when I was little a few
my
times,
God.
even though my faith has little to no impact on my everyday life. Looks like you gotta get saved. So you can't just say you're Christian.
That accent was amazing. The show is priceless.
You have to actually get like you gotta get saved. My faith has little to no impact on my everyday life. Looks like you gotta get saved. So you can't just say you're Christian, you have to actually get saved or be born again by trusting in Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And once you do that, you should get baptized by full immersion in water, because that represents dying and rising again
Your
to new
babies?
life. And because this represents such a
They're
night
bad
and day
people.
transformation,
Kids are bad people. But you can save kids right here.
Most Baptists believe in eternal security, or once saved, always saved, where if you're ever Christian, you're always going to be a Christian, because if you're truly born again, you're not going to fall away from the faith. So why are Baptists so...
I mean, I gave it the college try. Hey, they got a cross. Some churches, they won't let you have a cross. It's a little bit of an icon, you know? It's like, not going to let you put Jesus on it, but... You know, it's like somebody was saying something about some people that don't have a cross. I like the lights. I like the ceiling. I like the long hallway. Kind of like this is a nice looking church. Could be a little spicier. Personally, I want lots of stuff to look at, dude. Let's go.
Low church? Well, they don't want to assign too much value to the institutional church, because if you're trusting in that, then you might think you're a real Christian just because you participate in the church, even if you don't have a personal faith in Christ. Likewise, if you trust too much in your baptism, you might think you're a Christian just because you're baptized with water, even if you don't personally trust in Christ.
With water.
Or if you think you're a good person because you do good works, then you might trust in your good works rather than trusting in Christ. The only thing you should trust in for salvation is the blood of Christ shed for you on the cross, because only that can save you. That's why Baptists think it's a false gospel if you're trusting in anything else for salvation. What else do Baptists believe? A common strawman of Baptists is that they reject the Nicene Creed, because recently the Southern Baptist Convention declined to add it to their official Baptist faith and message.
That's wild. One gun. What's their problem with the Nicene Creed?
But Baptists still historically believe in the contents of Nicene Christianity, just like all the other mainstream Christian denominations. So Baptists have Nicene Christianity in common with all other Christians, and Baptists have the 5 solas in common with all Protestants, except
I didn't know the 5 solas. I heard this one a lot.
Except different Protestant traditions tend to emphasize different solas. For example, Lutherans tend to emphasize faith alone.
Whoa, Lutherans are faith, Reformed are... What, Baptist? Yeah. Kind of want to go to Baptist Sunday school and argue with people. They'd probably kick me out.
The Reformed Calvinists tend to emphasize God's glory alone, and Baptists tend to emphasize Scripture alone. They have a more radical view of sola scriptura than most other Protestants, because Lutherans and Reformed tend to see Scripture as the only infallible or perfect authority, but church tradition is still a lesser authority. Whereas for Baptists, Scripture is really the only authority for faith. So if something is not in Scripture, then it's not necessary for faith. So that means Baptists are skeptical of any church tradition that is not in Scripture. So here are some traditions that Baptists reject because they don't see them in Scripture. Baptists don't ask Mary and the saints for intercession the way some denominations do. Baptists don't think it's necessary to receive forgiveness of sins from a priest because you can just confess directly to God. And Baptists don't believe in purgatory. Now generally, traditional Protestants reject these traditions as well, but Baptists also reject infant baptism, which traditional Protestants believe in. Baptists believe that this is a vestige of Catholicism that traditional Protestants never got rid of. And the result of infant baptism is Christendom, where you have state-sponsored Christianity, where all the babies in the country are baptized, and the whole...
Okay, Catholic Europe. Okay, what's up with German here? Lutheran. Well, Germany's not all Lutheran. Netherlands is Reformed. Belgium is Catholic. Switzerland is Reformed. Is that Switzerland? Austria's Catholic. Whoa, 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 whoa. Is Latvia on the bottom? They got one Catholic and one Lutheran. Estonia's Lutheran. And then, of course, we got Calvinist, Scottish, and Northern Irish Catholic, and Anglican. Europe's a wild place, dude. Yeah, a lot of these denominations didn't really take off till they got over here, huh? They're not really big in Europe. Yeah, this is a wild country.
Whole country is considered Christian regardless of whether or not everyone in the country actually believes. And Baptists were usually persecuted in Christendom, both in Catholic and Protestant countries. So a lot of Baptists feel like the Protestant Reformation really betrayed them, but they were kind of vindicated in the end, because the European countries that historically had Christendom are now very atheist, and the historically Baptist regions of America are still quite religious.
Oh, man. Religiosity. I don't know what they mean by religiosity. Also, that's from 2011. And that Baptist chart is from 2000. Still Christian. Some Baptists in Utah, man. Alright, so below average. Oh, Wyoming is below average religiosity? That's crazy. Like, California is more religious than Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Wyoming, and Colorado, and New England. Oh, God, New England and upstate. Godless wasteland, dude. What happened with the Puritans, dude? New Jersey, of course. Florida's average. Well, we're a composite of a lot of things. West Virginia's average, but Kentucky's above it. Yeah, okay. Look at the South, dude. Look at them go. Let's go religion, dude. Arkansas? Is there, yeah. I kind of like the average religion states, though. They're kind of cool places. I definitely mess with Florida, West Virginia, Ohio, Missouri, Michigan.
Now, Baptists are quite politically involved in countries like America, but they still believe everyone in the country should be free to come to Christianity on their own, because they believe faith is more genuine when it's a personal choice, rather than just being a family thing or a cultural thing. Now, there is a stereotype that Baptist churches...
Bro. Baptist churches then... Baptist churches now... Is that a Chipotle? Is that like a Chuy's? Big cactuses? I swear that looks like a crepe myrtle. But it's a yellow. What is that? I don't know desert plants. It's like a Palo Verde and a crepe myrtle had made love. Catholic Baptist churches then. Cool. Oh, I see. So they both got worse. Catholic churches now, yeah, what is this place?
Don't look beautiful, but that's not true. Yes, Baptist architecture tends to be simpler than other denominations, but there's still...
It's an old bet. Look, our culture's just degraded. Architecture used to be lit. Architecture used to be good.
Still tons of beautiful old traditional Baptist churches. The real problem is that modern church buildings tend to look ugly across all denominations.
Yes, exactly.
And Baptists have this stereotype because they do have a lot of new churches, but that's because they're doing more evangelism and starting more new churches than anyone else. So Baptists are being more successful than all the other denominations at spreading the gospel. It's just that ugly buildings are a side effect of doing that in the modern world. It's true that Baptists have generally evangelized more than anyone else in the modern world, and that's why modern Christianity has such a Baptist influence. And sometimes traditional Protestants will complain about this, but it's kind of their fault for not evangelizing as much. It's also one of the reasons why most non-denominational churches are literally just Baptist in terms of their beliefs, because Baptist theology has been the default in many circles for many years. But another reason why non-denominational churches almost always have Baptist theology is that basically all other Christian theological traditions believe that a church needs to be connected to a larger organization or tradition to have legitimacy, so only a Baptist theological framework can justify the existence of non-denominational churches, because Baptists believe in the autonomy of the local church, and that churches really shouldn't follow anything outside the Bible.
Well, what about Quakerism? They didn't even care about the Bible. They're about that inner light. Wait a minute. Are non-denoms? You know, Pentecostals, despite coming from Methodism, they've got a hint of that Quaker thing going on. They're like a Baptist, like Pentecostals and non-denoms and charismatic churches. They got a touch of Quaker in the Baptist theology. Just as my unprofessional opinion.
Now let's talk about different types of Baptists. The biggest Baptist denomination is, of course, the Southern Baptist Convention, but there's also the American Baptist Churches USA, who are actually the Northern Baptists. They split around 1860, and it's not hard to understand why.
Wait, so what's the... Oh, this is just a map of the Civil War, not of Baptist border states.
So yeah, never ask a Southern Baptist how they got the Southern in their name. But anyway, the Southern Baptist Church is more strictly conservative and is more broadly evangelical, whereas the ABC USA is a big tent ranging from conservative to moderate to liberal, and it's a bit more liturgical and high church than the Southern Baptist Convention. But both of these are mainstream historic denominations, and it's worth noting that overall, Baptists have done a much better job than other Protestants at keeping their historic denominations conservative.
Fair enough, dude. What is this? Is this real? Is this all real?
Perhaps it's because Baptists gatekeep church membership to those who make a profession of faith to make sure that everyone in the church is actually Christian. There's also a few historically black Baptist denominations like the National Baptist Convention, and this one has an interesting history. During the Civil Rights Movement, its president, Reverend Joseph Jackson, was very concerned that a lot of the Civil Rights Movement was disobeying law and order, and he wanted to make sure that preachers were preaching spiritual salvation rather than liberation theology, so he sort of forced the liberals out of the denomination. Many of them left to form the Progressive National Baptist Convention, including Martin Luther King, who was a theologically liberal Baptist minister. This is one of the rare examples of liberals leaving a conservative denomination. There's also independent fundamental Baptists. They see the...
Sorry. That wasn't good.
The King James.
Oh, dude, this was the this is the church in my hometown. This is what I I grew up with United Methodism and these guys. Okay, independent fun. They just called themselves Independent Baptists. They weren't Southern Baptists. They were too far right for the Southern Baptists. Ooh, boy. Ooh, doggy. Doggy woggy. Wag the dog. KJV only. What's the Southern Baptist deal? Are they like, oh, New King James is okay? No, these guys liked New King James. They didn't prefer it, but they were like, okay, so they were like, New King James is acceptable, but it's less funner. The Awana shit was all King James, right? By grace are ye saved through faith. Are ye? Yeah, like I learned stuff in King James.
James version of the Bible as the only reliable translation in English. They're radically conservative on basically every social issue, and they're generally a bunch of small rural churches that look like this. There's particular
enough.
Baptists who follow the
Oh.
1689 London Baptist Confession of Faith,
Weird.
which was an effort to incorporate some elements of Reformed Calvinist theology, and they're called particular because they believe Jesus died for a particular group of people, the elect. There's also some Baptists who don't follow any creeds or confessions, but they're still vaguely Calvinistic in that they believe in Calvinistic predestination, or the 5 points of Calvinism, but these groups didn't even really claim to be Reformed or Calvinist until recently. But regardless, these groups are not really Reformed because they don't agree with the Reformed view of the sacraments. Calvinists, Lutherans, and Catholics all believe that the sacraments
No. 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 Believers receive. This is some stuff, dude. Okay. Wow.
sacraments are means of salvation in some sense, and that we receive the body and blood of Christ in communion in some sense. But because Baptists don't believe that, that's what separates them from all these other groups. Baptists don't want to give the sacraments any role in salvation, which is why they don't even call them sacraments most of the time, they call them ordinances. So if you're a Christian and you don't live under a cave, you've probably been influenced by Baptists at least somewhat, because nobody preaches, reads, and memorizes the Bible like they do.
Who is that guy up top? He's Charles, right? He's one of the Charles guys, but there's like multiple Charles. I'm literally going to Google Lens this guy. Charles Stanley, yep. Wait, that's it?
Lutherans focus on the gospel more than anyone else. Everything.
The gospel. Go back, dude. Bach is Lutheran.
Baptists have Calvinist theology. Calvinists, Lutheran, the sacraments any role in salvation, which is why they don't even call them sacraments most of the time, they call them ordinances. So if you're a Christian and you don't live under a cave, you've probably been influenced by Baptists at least somewhat, because nobody preaches, reads, and memorizes the Bible like they do. Lutherans focus on the gospel.
Okay, we're doing Lutherans and we're doing the I was wrong about baptism another time. Thank you for vlogging with me tonight. Oh, there's another person here? Who's here? I was ready to get off of here. It's late. I was trying to get off at 12 and I was trying to get off at 1. Now we got somebody in the chat. Who's in the chat? Who's in the chat? Just want to stay at the who's in the chat. I'm gonna throw party horns up. I'm throwing them celebration horns in my own chat. You can't stop me. I don't have 2 monitors, so I follow the chat on the phone. I'm watching Christianity videos. We were watching ayahuasca, dude. I don't know, man. Who's here? Who's here? Show yourself. You don't have to. I don't want to leave, but I gotta leave. I think it's time to leave. Is that okay? If you don't show yourself, I don't know how to, like, justify engaging. I can watch a little bit of Lutheranism and see if anything develops.
Gospel more than anyone else.
They want the gospel. They're all about the gospel.
Lutherans focus
love
on
the
the
gospel.
gospel more than anyone else. Everything Lutherans say, think, and do is centered around the gospel message, that Jesus has already achieved your salvation by dying on the cross for your sins,
He's
so
got a
you can be
point.
forgiven and have peace with God. Let's see where they are on the church compass. Lutherans are pretty high church. They're one of the most high church Protestants, because Lutherans see themselves as a continuation of the Catholic Church, but reformed by the gospel.
I guess Anglicans are higher than Episcopal. I don't know what's going on with this. What's up, chat? What's up, chat?
Gospel, and the Lutheran Reformation was a much more conservative Reformation than other Protestant branches. That's why Lutherans were traditionally called evangelical Catholics.
Crazy.
The name Lutheran started out as an insult. It's pretty easy to tell which Lutherans are liberal and which are conservative. Generally in America, ELCA is the liberal denomination and LCMS is the conservative denomination, although there are moderate wings of both. There are some smaller Lutheran denominations, some moderate ones like the NALC and the LCMC, and generally moderate is defined as denominations that do not have gay marriage but they do have female pastors. There's a very conservative Lutheran denomination called WELS, or the Wisconsin Synod, and in other countries there's different levels of liberal and conservative depending on which historically.
Whoa, okay. Latvia's Lutheran. Lithuania's Catholic. Is that what's going on? Okay. Sweden's liberal. Finland's center left. Latvia's, well, that actually makes sense. Where's Norway in this whole thing? And then Finland's like Lutheran but also Orthodox.
Lutheran country you're in. Now, what do Lutherans believe? Lutherans believe in the essentials of Nicene Christianity, just like all other Christians, and they affirm the first 6 ecumenical councils, but they don't believe these councils are infallible. They're true because they're in agreement.
This will be the last one. I'm
They
threatening.
believe the Bible's the only infallible authority. Church tradition is still an authority, but it's a fallible authority. Fallible doesn't mean wrong, it just means it could be wrong. Generally, church tradition is right, but the reason they believe this is the Bible teaches the gospel of salvation by faith. And if the church ever adds extra requirements for salvation in addition to faith, then the church is simply wrong.
I really want to watch the one about Anglican and Episcopal, because that's kind of drawing me right now.
So that means they believe in sola scriptura and sola fide, just like all other Protestants. Sola scriptura means the Bible alone is the only infallible rule.
That's when you leave something out in the sun for too long, and then you're like, oh, it's all solidified.
For faith and practice. It doesn't mean there aren't other authorities. Church tradition is an authority, but it's a lesser authority. They also believe in sola fide, which means that faith alone is what justifies us before God. It doesn't mean works don't matter. Good works are still a necessary fruit of being a Christian. Everyone who does have true faith will also have good works, but it's not the works themselves that justify us before God, it's our faith. They also believe that baptism saves, and this doesn't contradict salvation by faith alone, because they don't believe baptism is a good work. They think baptism is one of the ways God gives us saving faith, that every infant who is baptized is given saving faith in that moment.
Man.
The reason they want to preach this is because this is a way to preach the gospel, to make sure people...
Oriental Orthodoxy in 9 minutes? That honestly sounds more fun than Lutherans. What do you think, chat? Yo, these churches are ancient. I love it. Lutherans are pretty white bread, man. It's like, I don't know. Any Lutherans out there? One more.
Oriental Orthodoxy is based on one thing, being the one
Okay, hold on. This is Coptic. This is Armenian Apostolic. That's a cool dude. These guys got some architecture, dog. Is this Syriac? Because I feel like this might not be Ethiopian. You know, these churches all have their own logos, man. They're wild. And then is this Ethiopian? Might be. Because they got their icons. Ooh. What is theosis? 3 more differences, dude. These are lit churches, y'all. Let's go.
United Church founded by Jesus and the Apostles, and staying the Oriental Orthodoxy is based on one thing, being the one united church founded by Jesus and the Apostles, and staying the same while all the other churches have changed over the years. The Oriental Orthodox are at the very top of the church compass, because more than anyone they focus on the unity and importance of the visible church as the visible body of Christ here on earth. They're equally high on the church compass as the Eastern Orthodox, because the two of them debate who is the real Orthodox church. The Eastern and Oriental Orthodox churches are higher than both Catholics and Protestants on the church compass because they both have a more exclusivist view of the church than the rest of them. They both claim that normatively there is no salvation outside the visible church, but they each claim to be the one true church to the exclusion of the other, and they've been separate for over 1,500 years. Let's find out why that is. The Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches agree with each other on 7 ecumenical councils that clarified various teachings about Jesus.
These guys, not so much.
But the Oriental Orthodox only affirm the first 3, because they think the 4th council contradicted the 3rd.
Yo. Is that true? Wait a minute, so they don't have 7? So they don't like icons of Jesus?
And that the later councils were just a hopeless attempt to try and reconcile the contradictions. So the fundamental debate between the Oriental Orthodox and everyone else is about this council, the Council of Chalcedon. Between the Oriental Orthodox and everyone else is about this council, the Council of Chalcedon, whether it was valid and consistent with the earlier councils. Chalcedon taught Jesus has 2 natures, a divine nature and a human nature, and this is what Protestants, Catholics, and the Eastern Orthodox all believe. But the Oriental Orthodox claim this contradicts the Council of Ephesus, which taught one incarnate nature of the Word, who is Jesus. The Council of Chalcedon was literally a split over how to interpret the Council of Ephesus. So to understand the Council of Chalcedon, you first need to understand the Council of Ephesus.
So this is like 400 something, it's like 1500, you get this? No, this is 500, 453 or something. This is 1,000, and this is 1,500. So like every 500 years they... And you know what? We might be due for another, you know, there's restorationism now that's kind of like... It's kind of Protestant and kind of not Protestant at the same time, you know?
The Council of Ephesus was called because of this guy Nestorius, who separated the divine and human natures of Christ.
And that's how you got the Syrian Church of the East.
Unlike previous heretics, he admitted that Jesus was truly God and truly man, but he separated Christ's divinity and humanity. He said that the divine nature was called the Word, and the human nature was called Jesus.
That's not such an unreasonable interpretation. That's not such a... Is that such a bad thing that you can't be Christian and believe that? No, but they excommunicated him. Let's go.
And Christ was the name for the union of them. So he said it's more accurate to call Mary the mother of Christ than the mother of God.
Nope, you're out.
Bro, that's heresy, said Cyril of Alexandria. Cyril rejected the idea of 2 separate natures in Christ. He said in the Incarnation, the divine nature put on humanity, kind of like a man putting on a coat, so there is one incarnate nature of the Logos, or Word, which is Jesus. The Council of Ephesus officially sided with Cyril and had many statements condemning Nestorianism. Theodotus of Ancyra, who was at the council, said there were not 2 things nor 2 natures, but what was seen was one and the same thing. He also said they did not crucify a mere man, nor did they merely nail the visible nature, but they brought their daring to the God who was in it, who had appropriated the sufferings of the united nature. Cyril also said that Christ is one according to nature, and he is not twofold, even though he is compounded out of 2 different elements. And St. Acacius said that we should anathematize the dogmas of Nestorius, especially those who say 2 natures after the union, and those who admit that Jesus isn't 2 sons, but still say 2 natures. So Cyril was seen as the hero of the Council of Ephesus, because he defeated Nestorianism. So after he died, his student Pope Dioscorus of Alexandria took over for him in fighting Nestorianism. He said Jesus has 1 nature. Hold up, said Pope Leo of Rome. Jesus is 1 person, but he has 2 natures. Dude, we settled this at the Council of Ephesus. That's Nestorian. No, because we believe Jesus is 1 person and Mary is the mother of God, so we're not Nestorian. But we're not monophysites like you, because we believe Jesus has 2 natures. So the Council of Chalcedon officially sided with Pope Leo over Dioscorus and said Jesus has 2 natures. The Council of Chalcedon because we natures. Nature. Alexandria took over for him in fighting Nestorianism. He said Jesus has 1 nature. Hold up, said Pope Leo of Rome. Jesus is 1 person, but he has two natures. Dude, we settled this at the Council of Ephesus. That's Nestorian. No, because we believe Jesus is one person and Mary is the mother of God, so we're not Nestorian. But we're not monophysites like you because we believe Jesus has two natures. So the Council of Chalcedon officially sided with Pope Leo over Dioscorus and said Jesus has two natures. The Council of Chalcedon condemned Dioscorus, but Dioscorus condemned the Council of Chalcedon because he said it literally sided with Nestorianism. No, the Council of Chalcedon isn't Nestorian at all, said Pope Leo of Rome. Sup, guys? Nestorius? What are you doing? Well, I agree with the Council of Chalcedon. You see what I mean? From the Oriental Orthodox, the Council of Chalcedon. You see what I mean? From
Why didn't they let him back in? Should let the Assyrian Church of the East back in. This is the weirdest, like what?
From the Oriental Orthodox perspective, the early church taught miaphysitism, which is that Jesus is one nature out of two, and that's what was affirmed by the Council of Ephesus. They think the Council of Chalcedon departed from that by saying Jesus has two natures after the union. Then the Fifth Council tried to course correct and distinguish their view from Nestorianism, but then the Sixth Council doubled down on it by saying Jesus has two wills, and then Chalcedonianism split into a million pieces. There are indeed hundreds of Chalcedonian
Reformation's crazy. Nice, dude. Catholics like Protestantism leads to endless schism. No, Chalcedonianism actually leads to endless schism. Wow.
denominations, because all future splits in the church were on the Chalcedonian side of the schism. The Oriental Orthodox Church has never schismed. They think that's because Chalcedon split the natures of Christ, which led to future splits in the body of Christ, which is the church. They actually agree with the Nestorian Church that the Council of Ephesus was Miaphysite, and that the Council of Chalcedon was Nestorian. Also, on most of the issues that the Council agree with the Nestorian Church that the Council of Ephesus was Miaphysite, and that the Council of Chalcedon was Nestorian. Also, on most of the issues that divide Eastern and Western Chalcedonianism, the Oriental Orthodox have kind of a middle position. For example, they don't agree with the Filioque, but they're not as aggressively against it as the Eastern Orthodox. They're not as rationalistic as Catholics and Protestants, but they're also skeptical of the radical mysticism and hesychasm in Eastern Orthodoxy. They have more of a Western view of original sin, where infants are guilty of sin from the moment of conception, even if they're not as extreme as Augustine. They do affirm a distinction between God's essence and God's energies, but only a formal distinction, not a real distinction like in some Eastern Orthodox Palamite theology. They also believe in some form of theosis, but Pope Shenouda III, a recent Oriental Orthodox pope, clarified that they don't agree with the Eastern Orthodox version of theosis. They're more comfortable talking about Christ's sacrifice as a penal substitution than the Eastern Orthodox are. They're also between the Catholics and the Eastern Orthodox on the papacy. They do have a pope and
Yo, crazy. They're the middle way? Oriental Orthodox is the golden mean between Catholic and Eastern Orthodox? That's why they didn't split. The other ones, the Chalcedonians, went in two directions. These guys just held firm. Oh my god. They're like the original church.
And he's the highest patriarch, but they don't think he's ever infallible. Kind of like how it was during the times of the councils. The spirit of Oriental Orthodoxy is holding true to the traditions of the early church even when they're persecuted for doing so. Not only have they faced opposition from Chalcedonians, who make up the vast majority of Christendom, but also from Islam, because they've spent most of their history as islands of Christianity in a vast sea of Islam, and that's why the different Oriental Orthodox communities like the Copts, Ethiopians, Armenians, and Syriacs have developed distinct identities even though they've all always been united as one church. And because they've been refined by by centuries of persecution, Oriental Orthodox saints are often the most humble people you'll ever meet. They're still heavily persecuted to this day. Lots of Coptic Orthodox martyrs were killed by ISIS in 2015.
Boo.
The Ethiopian Orthodox have faced lots of ethnic violence recently, and millions of Armenian Orthodox were killed in the Armenian genocide in World War I.
Dude, boo to all that. Boo. These are the best people. These people are treasures. Unbelievable. Why would you kill these people?
But despite constant persecution, the Oriental Orthodox still have an amazing heritage. For example, Armenia was the first country to make Christianity the official religion, and they've been Oriental Orthodox ever since. The Coptic Church comes from Alexandria, which produced theologians that all the denominations agree are the best, including Athanasius himself. And the Ethiopian Orthodox Church supposedly has the Ark of the Covenant from the Old Testament. Now let's talk about their relations with other churches. As we know, Oriental Orthodoxy is actually a community of autocephalous churches that have always been in communion with each other and have never schismed. They're probably closest these days to the Eastern Orthodox because in recent years they've talked about reuniting after 1500 years of schism. Both sides have theologians and leaders who think the Council of Chalcedon was mainly a schism about language and not of substance, but even so, both sides also have other theologians who think it was a division in substance and that reunion would be impossible without compromising on core theological tenets. Even though they greatly disagree with the Christology of the Assyrian Church of the East, they still share a bit of a common heritage of being Eastern Christians that have always been islands of Christianity in a sea of Islam. They're pretty close to Catholics as well, because they've done some ecumenical dialogue with Catholics recently, especially because there's some Armenian Rite and Alexandrian Rite Catholics who are liturgically very similar to the Oriental Orthodox, but also in communion with Rome. And as far as the Protestants go, their favorite Protestants are probably the Lutherans, because the Lutherans have closest to a Miaphysite Christology, and very briefly, the Oriental Orthodox...
Who are Moravians? Someone explain this to me.
Ethiopian Church was once sort of in communion with the Lutheran Church when a deacon from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church visited Martin Luther, and they realized they had the exact same view of the Eucharist. In short, Oriental Orthodoxy is committed to unconditional perseverance and consistency, even in the face of the greatest opposition.
What's up with the
Through
Syriacs?
centuries of persecution, they've remained loyal
So
to
those
the
guys
faith
are big
of
in
the early
Syria
church.
and India? Okay. Alright, we're done.
This may surprise you, but despite the differences between Catholic...
Chat, we're cooked. Steak is well done. Last chance to say what's up in the chat. I'm out of here. I gotta get some sleep, y'all. It's late. I'm gonna try to start earlier tomorrow. I'm gonna try to pop on tomorrow. Okay? Maybe afternoon, evening, earlier. Please earlier, I hope. I hope I can get more viewers if I go earlier. I know it's late. I go, work all day. But I got tomorrow to do some things. Alright, well, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Love you so much. Thank you so much. You're the best. Vlog so hard.